Hey music fans, as a roadie I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rock Star. Have you ever heard of Dimash?
No, I sure haven't.
This next group of episodes on my Road Dogs and Rock Gods series is Mr. Thomas O'Keefe. Thomas played with the band Antiseen from 1988 to 1995. He's a bass player. Before that, he played with Judas Bullethead. While with Antiseen, he actually played on an album with GG Allin. He's been the tour manager of Train, Sia, Dashboard, Confessional, Mandy Moore, Whiskeytown, Third Eye Blind, and Weezer for many years now with Weezer. He is the author of the book Waiting to Derail, Ryan Adams and Whiskeytown, Alt Country's Brilliant Wreck. His portion of the proceeds of that book actually go to a woman's shelter in Raleigh, in North Carolina. Thomas is a good guy. I think you guys will enjoy him. I like him a lot. And if you guys are interested in learning more about him, I did do an interview with him a while back. You guys can check that out here if you want to. Anyway, let's jump to this. Let's see what Thomas O'Keefe has to say about your favorite band. Let's do this. This is Dimash. Dimash is from Kazakhstan, and this is a track called Olimpico. And I love the performance and everything about it. We'll see what you think. I don't want to go on too much. Let's see what you say. do you think of Dimash?
Woo, man, that's crazy. Three things. Number one, I'm shocked. I mean, his vocal range goes all the way from the lowest low, like I mean, I would expect to see some old, big, fat guy that looks like Pavarotti or something singing that song. I wouldn't expect to see like a young, I assume this guy's pretty young, I don't know how old he is, but he's a
20s.
small 20 something dude with that low of a roar and then going all the way, past like Rob Halford range, like singing so high and so low. He just went all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. So that was pretty insane. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone do that before. I thought the production was really good. Obviously, I don't know what the song was about because I think, was he singing in Italian? I don't know what language that was.
I'm not sure.
Um,
Sorry.
but yeah, I thought I loved the part when he had the lights around him with the people with the flashlights in their hands. That was a
Great.
pretty good that looked really cool for what it was, and it was a pretty easy, trick to do, but it looked really good. So yeah, he is an unbelievable singer, that's for sure.
Ah, cool. I'm glad you like it. I think he's really neat too. I just watch it spellbound every time, kind of like, how do you
Like,
do that?
how is he doing that? Yeah, I mean, it's just because when he gets so low, the low part, he's going roar, roar, like just like I can't even imitate it. But yeah, he's definitely a insanely powerful singer, that's for sure.
Did you sing an Antiseen or any of the other
No,
bands?
just background vocals.
Just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah,
So a
no,
question. I had you on quite some time ago now. You were one of my guests for the interview. What was it? Gosh, it's got to be close to 2 years.
yeah, it was a while
And
back.
2 years. And I don't recall if I asked you, and that's why. So if so, you might have the same answer, but I'll see if it jogs my memory. And my friend's daughter was in fifth grade. She was with some of her school friends, and she came into the room and she said, "You need to ask your guests when they first felt famous." And so bear in mind, this is coming from a little girl, and you don't have to say straight fame. But
Right.
what was there a kernel in your career, a time, something that happened to you that really made you feel good about being on your path, your way?
Well, I recall a moment where I was playing an anti-scene and I was driving home from work one day and I heard this little tiny song in my head and I, kind of hammered it out in my brain while I was driving home from work, like playing drums on the dashboard of the car. And so I went home and I picked up the guitar and I figured out how to play it. And then a couple weeks later, month later, whatever, brought it to band practice when we started writing new songs. It became a song that appeared on one of our albums. And then 6 months later, I was in Munich playing the last show of the tour. This was probably 95. And I saw this kid in the audience in the front was singing the song while we were playing it. And so while I was in the 2 minutes, our songs were very short, very fast. But in the 2 minutes of me playing that song, I was thinking, wow, I made this song up, on Central Avenue in Charlotte, North Carolina, driving my crappy car home from work 8, 10 months ago. And it went all the way from being an idea to being recorded to coming out on an album. And now I'm playing a quarter of the way around the world in my band. And some kid I'll never meet is standing at the front row of the show singing along with every word. And that was a real special moment, I thought. It made me realize that if anybody gets in their car and drives to your concert, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
fact that anybody cares enough about what you're doing to get in their car and drive over to where you're playing and showing up. Anytime anyone shows up for a concert like that, I'm always that's never lost on me.
yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it.
I didn't feel famous. I certainly wasn't famous, but that was a moment where I was like, wow, this is
It's
I
neat.
would say it's more of a magical moment, where you're like, wow, this is when something cool like that happens, it makes up for all the times that you had to sit at the airport and wait for a delayed flight or all the terrible things that we all have to do in terms of traveling and the bad part of, everyone always says it sounds like you have a cool job. And I always say, you're right. It sounds like I have a cool job, but there's so much, there's the magical cool stuff is what makes the terrible sitting at the airport all day, missing your flight, canceled flights, canceled trains, canceled whatever, makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, it's those moments, man. It's looking
Yeah.
at the audience for me and just being like, what a vibe. Yeah, this is going to be a good show. Look at all the energy in the room, that kind of stuff.
Well, I
So,
mean, that was always my favorite part of going to rock concerts as a kid was the moment they clicked the lights off and it started, and I even today go out front and usually watch that from the beginning. I'm busy during the show usually, but that's always my favorite part of the concert. And I always I took my favorite thing and turned it into my job, so now I have to learn how to play golf or do something else for fun.
yeah, right.
I think that's why so many people in bands play golf because they took their favorite thing and they turned it into their job, and now their favorite thing is their job, so they got to find another favorite thing.
Yeah, yeah. In the car, I listen to classical music and opera, and people get in, they're like, what are you listening to? They're like, you're the Joel Metal. I'm like, no, Joel Metal likes classical and folk.
Right. I
So,
understand.
yeah. Anyway, why don't we jump into Japan and you can let me know what you think. Have you heard of a band called Love Bites?
No, I sure have not.
All right, I think you'll dig it. Let's give it a go. Hey, the podcast is over. What are you still doing here? Well, while you're here, like and subscribe. Thanks.